Hi everyone, this is Gerald, founder of BG Academy, and today we'll be talking about which badminton string should I use and what tension should I put or should I use for my racket. Okay, so this question came about to me from one of my students' parent because she was asking, Coach, do you have any recommended string and what tension should I use for my string? So that's a great question, and I realized this is a problem that a lot of people face. So I decided to address this question today. There is two things that you need to take note of for when choosing a badminton string, or actually two decisions you have to make. First is the type of string, and second is the tension of the string. So for the type of string, the most important factor here is the thickness of the string. So having a thick string would affect repulsion by, okay, how do I put it? Having a thick string would reduce the repulsion by a lot because having a thick string would spread the force over a wider area. So there is less force. Whereas a thin string has a lot of force. So one example of a racket that had, sorry, one example of a very thick string would be BG65, Yonex BG65, and for thin strings would be BG66, Ultimax or Sharp, I think it's called. And the next thing that we need, so that's for the thickness. And the next thing we're going to talk about is the feel. So for the feel of the strings, it's an interesting topic because if you use strings from different brands, different strings have different feel. So Yonex classify them under the soft, medium, and hard feel. And personally, I like strings that belong to this soft feel that does not have that plastic kind of feel. It feels like as though the string is stretchable. So that feels very comfortable to me. So if anyone who knows about this subject matter, please do leave it in the comments down below, so comment section down below, and yeah, we really appreciate it because everyone would learn from this. So for this aspect, I really can't help much. You got to trial and error. You got to try different strings to find out which feel is actually most suited for you. But the most important factor here is really the thickness of the string. So once you get that right, you will be able to use strings that's appropriate because thick strings last longer. Thin strings they hit harder, but they snap very quickly. Yeah. So it depends on you. You got to choose which one that's appropriate for your budget. Yeah. And the next thing we're going to talk about is the effects of tension. Yes, tension. So this is a very tricky question because different players suit different tension. And let me briefly tell you what is. Let me tell you what's the short answer. All right. So if you're completely new to badminton, you've never played badminton before. For ladies and kids, I recommend you start off with 22 pounds, while guys, 24 pounds. And the rationale, the reason behind it is because what the tension does, right, is that a very tight string causes very quick rebound. So the quick rebound makes the opponent feel as though the shuttle is very fast. But here's the catch: the shuttle does not travel very far. So it feels fast, but it does not travel far. So that means that you have to use a lot of strength to hit the shuttle very far. And of course, the advantage of this is it's more suited for aggressive players, and especially in the front when you're trying to control the front, you're using the more difficult skills like the spin net. Having a very tight string makes it a lot easier to control the spin as opposed to a string that does not have very high tension. And then the downside, the big downside to this, right, is that the string snaps very quickly, and of course injuries because high tension, the strings is tight. You do not actually absorb the impact that much, causing your joints to really feel the impact. So if you're not used to it, like I mentioned, totally new to the sport, chances are you're gonna get elbow injuries or shoulder injuries, like the tennis elbow. So that's why if you haven't played for a long time or you're new to the sport, just go lower, and then from there on slowly increase the tension. All right, and of course, low tension. If you use low tension, it takes forever to break the string. So that's a good thing if you want to save cost. And generally having a low tension is easier to control the shuttle. But the downside to this, right, is that when you're playing against a very strong opponent, or opponent with a very strong defense, you're gonna have a hard time killing the opponent because you realize your shuttle speed can be faster. So it can get quite irritating if you're a player, you've played for some time, you realize it can get quite irritating if you are unable to kill the opponent. So in that case, you don't have injuries, increase the tension. You might feel that it's a lot your shuttle will travel faster. It's easier for you to kill the opponent. Alright? So how do you tell whether the tension is high or low? Or what exactly is high tension, what exactly is low tension, right? It's all relative. Because in the olden days where they were using wooden rackets, the rackets could only support up to 20 pounds, and that's about the maximum it could go. But nowadays, with advancement in the technology, because now they're using nano graphite, I think it's called nano graphite, right? So nano graphite can go up to 27, 28. And when I was a professional player back then, I used to time my tension up to 32 pounds. So that was pretty high. I mean, it was way over the stated tension, which was very bad because the racket actually broke very quickly, like once every 2-3 months. So my recommendation is, how high should you go? You should not go above, should not try to stick within plus 3 pounds from the stated range from the racket. Try not to go beyond that, because otherwise the racket will break very quickly. Yeah. And how low should you go? As a guideline, do not go below 20, because anything below 20 is really horrible to use, because the drag is too slow. Because now with the 21 point system, the game is a lot faster. Do not go below 20 pounds. The shuttle will travel way too slow. Alright? And how do you tell if it's high or low? So the simplest method, the most easiest method, is actually to hear, because low tension rackets and high tension rackets create a very distinct sound. So here's an example of a low tension racket. It's a very dull sound. Okay, dull sound. Whereas as opposed to a high tension racket, as you can see, the sound is very sharp. And then compared to low tension racket, yeah, so very dull. So that's the first way, the easiest way to tell. And of course, if you want to get a little bit more specific, people like to press the string. You like to press the string or check whether the string is tight. Because a high tension racket is very tight. It's very difficult to move, and it's very difficult to press. But honestly, I feel this is redundant, because yeah, it's a waste of time. You just need to know it's high, and make sure that the tension is balanced throughout the racket, so that your racket is not slanted to one side. Like you can see, it's slightly slanted to this side. Yeah, so the tension, as you can see, is not balanced. Okay, so that's it for this video. If you have any questions, leave them. Leave them in the comment section down below, or join our private Facebook group and ask the question, and ask any questions over there regarding badminton. All right. And of course, if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel and like our Facebook page. Have a good day. Bye bye.